Hi, it's Phil at digitaldjtips.com. In this video, we're going to concentrate on some Serato DJ features on the MCX8000 from Denon. In our full review, I did promise that I would come back and look at Serato DJ, also Engine, which is Denon DJ's own software for this, and also the external inputs and outputs. It's a big controller. It would have taken me a long time to cover all that stuff in the original review. So I had to skate over some of it. Now we're going to get into a bit more detail. And as I say, this video is the one where I'm going to be looking at Serato DJ. Now, Serato DJ, hugely popular software, works with a lot of controllers and so on, but this being a high-end controller and a new controller, you'd expect it to have a few tricks up its sleeve. So in this video, I'm going to show you what I think is the most impressive feature with Serato DJ, but also walk you through how it works around the controller as well to give you a better view of it. So if you're thinking of buying this controller to use with Serato DJ, or you already have Serato DJ and you're wondering whether it would be a good upgrade, hopefully by the end of the video, you'll have your answer. Now, the first feature I want to look at is called tone play. Using the pads on your controller, you can take cue points and play them across the pads. And this is done using something called Pitch and Time. Pitch and Time is a free Serato DJ plugin that comes with every MCX8000 unit that lets you shift the key of your music really easily. So it improves upon key lock, which is a feature of most DJ software. It sounds better than standard key lock, but also it unlocks a few other features, this being one of them. So let's have a look at it. Here I have a very popular song, which I'm sure you will know. Let's just play it. It is, of course, Sweet Dreams by Eurythmics. And I've taken the opening riff and I've chopped it up. So I've put a cue point on all the main notes. So we've got... And you could mess about with that on its own. No need for anything else. But tone play takes that a lot further. So let's have a look at how it works. To switch it on, you press your shift button and you press the sampler button here. It's nothing to do with sampling, by the way. And then you have to choose a cue point that you want to play. So I'm going to use the third cue point. Again, you hold down shift and press the one you want. So now that cue point has been spread out across all these pads and you can play it like a keyboard. It goes up or down. So let's have a listen. You can hear I've got all those notes there, playing that cue point at different pitches. So I can then, I could do it lower or higher. So there's a lot of scope there to play about. And make your own riffs out of that. And of course, if you start putting effects onto it and stuff, you might be able to come up with something really interesting. And remember, that's all come from that one sample. So when we were messing around here in the studio preparing for this video, I set up a record deck, just plugged it straight in here. This is a standalone mixer as well, so you can plug your record decks in and play old-fashioned vinyl and so on. I set up a record deck and I put an old tune on from years ago, and I remembered this awesome bass line. And it took literally 30 seconds of messing around with that Eurythmics sample and using the up and down parameter buttons to move that sample up or down the keyboard to find those notes and replay that bass line on this unit. So I'm going to turn all the effects and stuff that I was messing with off and just play you the Eurythmics sample on tone play, copying that bass line. So I've got that sample there, but of course Serato DJ's got loads of great effects in it and so on. So putting an LFO filter on it, which is a filter that cycles, and a phaser, and then using the filter on the channel, which is actually built into the Denon DJ MCX8000. This isn't a Serato filter. You can unplug Serato and this will still work. But using that filter as well, came up with a real kind of acid house sounding riff, just using that Eurythmics sample and tone play. So this is what it sounded like. And so on. Very simple, very fun to use. That's tone play. So the second feature that I've been using a lot, I think it's great on this, is called key sync. Now, Pitch and Time Serato DJ, free plugin with this unit, gives you the ability to change the key of a track without changing the tempo. But it's taken a stage further with this unit, because this unit's actually got a keystroke that lets you do it right from the unit, bang, match 2 tracks together. It's really useful. I've got a loop of a house track here. So this is a musical track, it's got a bass line, the guy's singing, there's some musical pads in it, it's in the key, as I say, of 6A Camelot. And on the other deck I've loaded Coldplay's Adventure of a Lifetime and looped the guitar at the beginning, just for an effect. Let's play it over the top. It's not in a compatible key, see what it sounds like. It's alright, but it's out of key, so it's not going to sound perfect. By pressing Shift and key sync, I can match those keys, and that key on screen will change from 8A to 6A. Let's do it this time round. Now that fits really nicely. And if I were mixing this, if this is a mix I was doing for real, I'd probably have my filters on. Suddenly the mix works. It's as simple as that, and it's a keystroke away. It's a really powerful feature. But be careful with it, because especially if you're using tracks that people know, if I turn that loop off and play that on, if you're using tracks that people know well and it moves it too far away from the original key, at some point people will notice that it doesn't sound quite right, that it sounds, you know, like a bit dodgy. And listen to the lyric and you'll see what I mean. Suddenly it sounds kind of wrong. And if I took that feature off, it's now the track that we know and love, right? So you've got to be careful with that. It makes good sense to use it with loops and with stuff that you're putting in the background, like I filtered into the background there, in order to not dominate with something that's had its key move too much. But nonetheless, it's a great feature. Now, while we're on the subject of keystrokes and stuff that's been put on this unit to stop you having to reach for your laptop, one of the most annoying things I find when I'm preparing my music is beat gridding the music using the keyboard. You just want something right in front of you that you can hit when you're dropping beat grid markers, as opposed to going up there and using keystrokes and all that kind of thing. And this unit's got you covered as well. It's got a really nice beat gridding area for Serato DJ, which is this small area here. Now the controls we have here are set, which sets a beat grid marker when you hold down the shift button, clear, which clears a beat grid marker when you hold down the shift button, and adjust and slide, which work with the jog wheel to adjust the beat grid, moving the markers wider or shallower, which will make your BPM lower or higher, and slide, which will just move the whole grid along a bit. So for instance, on this track here, on this Coldplay track, the first beat grid marker, according to this, is where the arrows are there. But actually that's not the first beat. The first beat's there. Put a cue point there. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Not there. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's out. It's about half a beat out. So using this, I can just get to the beat where it should be placed and press shift button out of camera, shift button and set. And now my beat grid's moved. And then that is now the first grid marker, and that's going to sync up properly. Now if I wanted to alter the BPM of it, I can hold down the adjust and move the jog wheel, and the BPMs move accordingly. So I can just line up with the beats. It's not a very good example because there's no clear beats there, but that's the principle. And if I wanted to shift the whole grid, I can hold down the slide and it'll just slide the whole grid along. In practice, it's a really awesome way of doing your beat grids from the unit. You'll find yourself never reaching for the laptop when you're preparing stuff, and that's a good thing. Now we've already mentioned the record decks. Let's get that old-fashioned vinyl off and let's get some control vinyl on there. There's a Serato control piece of vinyl. Because this unit is fully DVS ready, you need to buy the DVS upgrade, and when you buy the DVS upgrade, you head over to setup and go to your expansion packs and make sure that vinyl and CDJ control is switched on. But once you've done that, you now have the ability to control Serato DJ by plugging your record decks or your CD players into the back of this unit, and Serato DJ will then let you control its decks using control vinyl or control CD in any CD player, any record deck, any CD player. Now, there's no control vinyl with the unit, but you can burn control CDs by just downloading the control code from Serato's website. So a blank CD, you can burn your own control CDs, and therefore you can use your existing CD players to control Serato DJ via here, or you can just go and buy vinyl. You don't need an extra sound card, you don't need anything else. You plug it in, you buy the plug-in and turn it on, and it works. And on the unit, you just press to PC on the channels you want to use to make sure that they're through and into Serato, and set up your Serato mode that you want. So I'm going to set this to relative mode here, throw a track on, let's just use that Coldplay one that we've already got, and then your control vinyl will control that track. And exactly the same with the CD on the other deck. I've got a Serato CD in here, and again, I've got CD control there over Serato via the MCX8000. It's sound cards, all licensed, it all works. You just have to plug it in and obtain vinyl if you don't already have it, or burn yourself CDs. It's as simple as that. Works great. So onto the screens. We covered how the screens work in the main review, but I just want to show you a bit of feedback having used them for a while. They're pretty good. You know, you've got your 3 columns here of your artist and your title and your key in this instance in that final column down here. And you can change what's in there by holding down the shift button and pressing the view button here. You can change this to show the length of time or the BPM, which is awesome. It's good to be able to switch that final column, because when there's only 3 columns, a lot of people want that kind of information. For me, you know, I always like to have the BPM, but also I'm quite partial to having the key there as well. But I can't find a way of sorting. So I want to sort by key now. I want to sort so my low and high, sort by BPM. So my low and high BPMs are in order. And the same when it's set to key, I want to be able to sort by key here as well. And I can't find a way to do that without resorting to clicking on the particular column on my computer screen. Please someone correct me if there is a way of doing that, but you know, I've been using this for a while now, and I just can't find a way of making that happen, which is a shame. But that said, you can, a really nice feature here is you can open your preparation window by pressing shift and pressing this button on the computer screen. Now our preparation window opens and closes, and then you can load tracks to that preparation window here very easily by saying I want to load that one to it, and that one and that one. So you can do a lot of the work that you normally do by, you know, using your trackpad on the computer on here. But when it comes to actually looking for tracks that are in a similar key or a similar BPM, you know, unless you've got your playlists set up in such a way, so you've got playlists that contain everything in one key, or playlists that contain anything in close by BPMs, so you don't really need to do that sorting on the tiny screens of the unit. Unless you've done that work ahead of time and that's the way you organize yourself, you're going to miss having an easy way of sorting by column in there. So there's my supplementary video to the full review of this unit that we've already published, specifically for you people considering using it with Serato. In conclusion, it's an awesome Serato controller. Some of the stuff I didn't get onto is it's got control over Flip, which is Serato's automation of cue points, so you can kind of like prepare remixes ahead of time that you've done yourself, and it will replay them faithfully. It's a very simple implementation. You don't need much to make Flip work on a controller, but they've done it. And also it's got all the usual pad stuff, which again we touched on in the previous video. So you've got your cues and cue loops, you've got the ability to save loops and recall them, and then your loop roll, full slicer loop, which is just a version of slicer where it doesn't move through the track and carries on circling around the area that you've frozen, and the full sampler and velocity sampler. Velocity sampler is when you play your samples harder and it comes out louder through the equipment, so that's good for using triggering drum samples and so on. These are from Akai Pro equipment, which of course is another brand from In Music, the people who make the Denon DJ MCX8000, so you'd expect the pads to be good, and they are. They work really well with that, but it's nice to have the option, because a lot of the time you're not interested in the velocity part of that. You just want to trigger a sample at full volume. So that's all there. You know, this is all pretty standard on high-end Serato DJ controllers. What I've tried to pull out in this review is some of the stuff that's a little bit different on this unit, and that stands it apart from the rest. So that's the Serato DJ supplementary review video to our main review. In the next one, we're going to be looking at Denon's own engine software and how that works with the MCX8000. If you've enjoyed this video, please do press the subscribe button and join our channel. If you're enjoying digital DJ tips, there's a join button below where you can get lots of goodies from us just by joining our email list. I'm Phil Morse. This has been our supplementary review of the MCX8000, especially for Serato DJ users.